Who are the people who tried to kill Isa and Zakaria? Are the Jews.
I hear a lot of people get mad at the sisters for how they dress, but I never hear anybody scold the brothers for their skinny jeans or their effeminate clothing. Very effeminate clothing now. And the Prophet ﷺ said that he cursed the man who acts like, who imitates a woman, and the woman who imitates the man in their dress.
What is our position on gay marriage? We already know what our position is on homosexuality. But why are we so quiet?
It's a sheikh murabbi, someone who tells you that you're suck, man. I use the word. Astaghfirullah azim. Get out of here. The Prophet used words that are much more greater than this in meaning.
Number one is the importance of leadership. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was under no delusion about the need for people who would be willing to take a punch to the jaw time and time again if it meant pushing what they believed earnestly to be the truth. And one of them was touched on by Rabbi Ron, this mandate of universal brotherhood. As our communities have grown over the last, year, 2 years, the ISBCC was built by the Jewish and Catholic and Presbyterian communities, just as it was built by the Muslim communities. We're going to face insecurities, people within all of our traditions who are not necessarily happy with us getting to know each other and with the process of humanizing each other and our experiences in building what I'll talk about next, the capacity to forgive. MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., constantly talked about the need to build capacity to forgive people. He considered forgiveness a weapon, a power that few people truly were able to harness, but when they were able to, they could change the world. Communities must acknowledge the fact that we've all made mistakes. But with forgiveness, we will not allow those mistakes to shape our future, but we'll let our future change the mistakes of the past. And that's a commitment. When I finished my studies in 2010 in Egypt, I received a phone call from a rabbi from New Jersey. And he said to me, "You need to meet me in Poland." So you can't say no to your rabbi. So I said, "Okay, I'll see you in a week in Poland." There in Poland, we met at this small restaurant. It wasn't the priest and the rabbi, it was the imam and the rabbi in a restaurant. We sat together, and I had been living in seminary land, which means I had no idea. I thought Usher was a guy who works in the theater, for you young people. I had no idea what was going on, and 50 cents was change. And he said to me, "Have you heard what's going on in New York?" I said, "I have no idea." And he grabbed me. This is a rabbi. He said, "What type of imam are you?" And I said, "No, I just graduated. I'm a new imam." You don't get smart with your rabbi. And he said to me, "You need to take these things very seriously. This is why I brought you to Poland. I want you to see the power of collective hate." And over the next 3 days, and I don't like to talk about it as I've talked to Rabbi Ron, it's a very moving experience. I went to Breckenau. I carried Hannah Rosenthal through Breckenau as she cried and said, "This is where my grandparents were murdered." And it was there for the first time in my life that I witnessed the absolute horror of understanding that human hatred, if left unchecked, can do some of the most abysmal things that anyone could ever imagine. And that's the third point, collective work. That forgiveness and brotherhood and speaking to evil and oppression and eradicating injustice cannot happen as a solo artist, no matter how talented you are. But if there's one thing I want to leave you with, is that we have to begin to take each other as brothers and sisters. And we have to learn to forgive each other. And we have to learn not to believe the things that we are told about each other before we sit and face each other and get to know each other and hug each other and love each other and cry together and share together. But if we're able to harness a concept of collective goodwill, to speak to injustice, to speak to the plight of, unjust policies, whether they're religious, social, or ethnic, in God's voice, we will be able to hopefully change not only the city, but our own communities for the better, and receive the benevolence of God. And that's why the Prophet Muhammad has a very beautiful statement that I'll finish with. He said, Ar-Rahimun yarhamuhumullah. Those who exercise mercy. And it's interesting, it's a plural. He didn't say it in the singular, the merciful one. He said the merciful ones. God will exercise His mercy upon them. Collective work, forgiveness, this mandate of universal brotherhood and sisterhood is what we hold in our hands today.